There's a bit of a lag on this. Could be my internet here, just where I'm sitting here. Okay, so let's have a look. We're looking at the battleship dream woo-woo dude had. Is that in fact going to come to pass? So I asked everyone to go watch that show. They gave more info on what I'm talking about there. And he even mentions the name of a battleship. Some of that could be true. Some of that could be true. Interesting. Surrender to the Empress. So information coming out. Okay, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thinking that some of what he got was true, not all of it. Okay, that's a 50% card. So he might have got the name wrong or the time wrong or both the name and the time wrong, but that in fact a battleship's going to go down. I think the part about the battleship's true. Now here we've got the devil. So the near future is the devil. I feel like it really puts the bad guys on the map somehow. So it must not be a freak wave. Maybe it'll just look like, maybe the freak wave is created by, deep state, dark forces, right? People we're at war with, right? I feel like it brings the general population a lot closer to understanding that we're at war and things are being done that they blame on nature, but in fact, it's part of the war. Surrender to, and it wasn't nature. Okay, so the nature, just like the wildfires are being blamed on nature, they might even try to blame the freak wave on, global changes in weather or whatever. But I feel like it's in fact being done. Somebody does it. So somebody creates the freak wave, and it's not anybody good. Okay. And it seems to bring attention to, or they bring attention to themselves, the bad guys. And maybe it brings the public a lot closer to understanding things are being done against us. Wow. So that part of that's true. Maybe not all of what he got there. I mean, it's hard to interpret dreams exactly, right? Okay, now woo dude again got that a lot of political assassinations everywhere in the summer. So we've just entered summer here in North America. And we got a couple of months of summer. And he's saying between now and basically October or the end of October, lots and lots of political assassinations where they're just going into where these politicians are either living or hanging out and dragging them out and assassinating them. Now, I'm going to tell you, remember, Cliff High got that as well. He got that there'd be lots of public assassinations. So let's see if that's got any truth to it. I think there might be a couple. I wouldn't say there's 20 or hundreds, nothing like that. Maybe 2 or 3. Okay. But I also get a lot of these people, you'll find out, are facing tribunals. So that he didn't mention that part. He said where literally the public are going out and finding these guys. But I feel like the bigger news is that the idea of tribunals and ongoing tribunals or upcoming tribunals are going to be, it's going to be more out there. But I'm not necessarily getting maybe a couple, right? But 1 or 2, not hundreds or even 50 or 20, more like 1 or 2 assassinations. And we've already seen one supposed assassination. I didn't get that was real though, where that CEO of some big pharma company got assassinated in broad daylight. I got that was all fake. That was part of the movie, people. That's what I got. Anyway, you don't have to believe it, but that's what the cards got. Okay, so wow. So now Iran's leader calling for the death of Netanyahu and Trump and activating what they call, people are calling sleeper cells. Okay, so activating sleeper cells and calling for the assassination of Trump. And this was the Iranian leader, known as the supreme leader or something like that. But I'm not going to call anybody a supreme leader. Okay. Anyway, so this guy, he's calling for, now is that part of the theater, or did the leader of Iran actually call for the assassination of Trump and Netanyahu? Let's have a look. Let's see what we got here. Wow. Okay, those, this is interesting because this feels like tribunals to me when I see it. And this 10 here, so I feel like one of those characters, anyway, I don't think Trump's faced a tribunal, not from what my cards have been saying, but I bet you Netanyahu has. Somebody's already been eliminated. Somebody's already faced a tribunal. And so calling for that, it feels like it's part of the theater. That already happened. A 10, it already happened. Netanyahu's already been assassinated and I believe faced a tribunal and was taken out that way. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that already happened. Could have even been 2 years ago. Okay, so I'm not necessarily getting that to be accurate. That's part of the theater. And a lot of these things, they'll tell you in a roundabout way something and not, often the timing's off and the details are off, but there'll be a grain of truth in it. Okay, what else do we have? So generally speaking, saying that July and August are absolutely like take June and quadruple it. This was also being talked about on the show. And that the 12-day war, no, there's no way there's going to be peace. And basically, Iran was going to obliterate Israel. Now, I got to be honest, for years I've been getting Israel's already been taken care of. And I don't believe a lot of the news coming out of Israel. Okay, so let's have a look at, is Iran going to continue this war and obliterate Israel, according to Woo Woo Dude? Okay, already happened, you guys. 10 already happened. It already happened, and not the way he says it did. Okay, I think the White Hat Alliance already took down the dangerous elements of what's been going on in Israel. In other words, the Khazarian mafia, like Zionist government, fake Jewish government that they have, hiding behind Judaism. I mean, I've been telling you guys about what I think about that for a long time. Anyway, so here it says we've got a 6. Yeah, that already happened, and a lot of people within that organization are being tribunaled, have been tribunaled. Are being processed. So I feel like this is all, he might be picking up on things that already happened, because that already happened, but not in the way he picked up on it either. So I don't know, maybe a whole nother timeline he's picking up on. So I'm not trying to offend Woo Woo Dude. I actually really enjoyed the show, frankly, but I just wanted to really double check on these things. What else do we have? Okay, now let's look at these sleeper cells. They're calling sleeper cells. Okay, so somebody in the comments was taking offense to sleeper cells and said they were a lot more dangerous. Okay, I've looked at this many, many times, and I take it down, not up. And the person in the comments on the website was basically offended that we don't give more attention to it. But I got to be honest, I've looked at it like numerous times. And I get that's huge fear porn, that there's all of these latent, basically ready to take out US citizens at a moment's notice. Okay. But I never get that's happening. Okay. So like, not trying to be offensive, just saying, I've looked at it so many times and I never get that. We used to get, people always thought that there was this big Chinese army military in Canada ready to take out Canadians. No, like, it was never true. It was debunked at every turn. Okay, so I'm saying that sounds like pure fear porn, and the cards say it's fear porn, but that doesn't mean there isn't what they're calling these sleeper cells. And that's what I'm going to double check on, okay? Because my energy and field doesn't feel fearful of that, but oh boy, right? I want to be sure that isn't the case. So a lot of these people have been let in are of fighting age males without families, okay? So let's see if that is going to be a problem going forward. Because that's basically what Woo Woo Dude was saying, was that his feeling is, based on his dreams and intuition, that these cells, these sleeper cells, are going to rise up and absolutely cause chaos in the US, and that we got some really bad months ahead with all the chaos. And certainly we're getting uprisings, okay? But then we find out a lot of them are paid, and a lot of people are being paid to come to these. And they're like, remember the July 14th big hoopla? All the truthers were saying, oh my goodness, this is going to be a disaster. The No Kings movement, blah, blah, blah. A lot of the people they attributed the No Kings movement to have been in tribunals, are already picked up off the streets, are not even in LA anymore, because they were part of pedophile Hollywood, okay, pedowood, and they're already facing tribunals. And people were saying, oh, well, they're starting this big organization called No Kings. That was all part of the movie, guys. And turned out I was right about that. Okay, what happened on the 14th? They had a parade, a bunch of comms went down, but nothing really big went down on June 14th. So I'm not saying there can't be these sleeper cells. I'm just saying, before we get caught up in all kinds of fear porn, we got to remember, right, how many times have we been told about these sleeper cells? Okay, but let's have a look. We're going to look one more time. Any truth to, and are the U.S. and the rest of the world, like, because there's these elements all over the world in danger of sleeper cells rising up sometime this summer and causing total chaos and internal, combustion of these countries. I mean, that was the plan originally, right? When they were flooding all of the European countries and then started flooding Canada and the US with totally unchecked immigration and illegal immigration in a lot of cases, when they've completely opened their borders in the US for the last 4 years. And by the way, think about this. I want you guys to think about this. So if the borders were totally unchecked for the last 4 years, but Biden's not real, he wasn't real, it wasn't really him, they had an auto pen. And I got, for those all 4 years, that the White Hat Alliance was running the US undercover, like they were the secret government. Okay, so they let the borders stay open. Okay, so what are they doing? They're basically showing you what these guys' agenda is. But I doubt if they were going to do that and actually let real sleeper cells in. Do you get what I'm? So if they're the ones, likely you're getting exaggerated reports because it's part of the theater. And you're also getting where they're overseeing, so it looks really bad to the public because they want everyone to wake up and figure this stuff out for themselves. But at the same time, they're managing it on some level. So really, it wasn't Biden and that group, the Democrats, letting all of these guys in. It was the White Hat Alliance who was in charge of the country, okay, and under the guise of a bunch of actors pretending to be Democrats doing these things. That's why everything looked so absurd. Okay, all of this stuff was done according to the cards by the White Hat Alliance. So then you got to think about what exactly kind of 5D chess are we looking at? There's psyops upon psyops. So I find it really hard to get excited about stuff like this, but I'm going to look at it because obviously it scared the you-know-what out of so many people. Okay, so we've got the 6. That's a good card. Okay, we've got the 5. So not nearly as many of those kind of elements came in as they said. So again, take it way down, guys. Take it way down. And then now we've got a 10. So, but this is in what other people see. So most normies aren't seeing any of that. You know, they're just going along, dum-de-dum. They don't even, you know, not even, a lot of them not even getting it. Some of them getting it, though. Some of them get it. The good news is some of them are waking up. And that's a good thing. Okay, so we've got the Ace of Pentacles. I think there's going to be some placed uprisings by what looks like sleeper cells, but it's all totally controlled and part of the theater. Yeah, none of that looks like the kind of chaos woo-woo dude was talking about. So as much as I like woo-woo dude, I'm going to have to say he's not batting 1,000 here on the info. And he might be mad at me after this. I'm not trying to offend, dude. Not trying to offend. Okay, so yeah, what else do we have? Problems compounding. Okay, whoops. I had one more. Okay, Idaho shooting. Really wanted to know about that in the comments. Idaho shooting. What the heck's going on? So they got this little, it looks like a little boy who supposedly did the damage. Go look it up. I don't have all the details in front of me, so I'm going in sort of blind here. Go look it up. Okay, a lot of this stuff turns out to be total fake news, but let's have a look just in case. Okay. Yeah, notice that a lot of these shootings are, so they're outing, they're often depressed, transgender kind of teenagers who are on prescription from big pharma, depression drugs. This is what you end up finding out. I just want to point out, like that you got to look at. So if these are fake, and this one looks fake, you guys, sorry, but I don't think what they say went down, went down. Okay, I'm going to say we might have some actors and actresses playing. None of this looks like a tragedy, okay? So even, you remember the Trump shooting? That was all fake. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't know exactly what they were up to with that one, but that was 100% fake. That was created, that was all theater and pre-planned, and it's like, this is insane what's going on. I'm not even sure what to think sometimes. But anyway, this was, there's no tragedy in these cards whatsoever. And everyone seemed to know each other. So they probably practiced, like, because they're crisis actors. So you have to look at who's the shooter. So what are they trying to shout out? So often these shooters are transgender. So they're trying to basically tell you these guys are mentally ill. And or yeah, they're really putting a bad light on transgender for sure. I noticed, like a lot of these shooters are, and also they're often on prescription meds, and yeah, medicated for years. Some of them supposedly in the stories, the fake made up backgrounds of these people. Okay, so no, what people were thinking was maybe we had a, you know, what is that called when they when they program them, the deep state, I forget what that's called now. I just lost it right out of my head, but you guys know what I'm talking about. It doesn't look like that. I don't get deep state involved. I don't get the dark cult involved. I don't get a tragedy happened. I get this was a PSYOP, that's our PSYOP card, for the general population. So there's some message out there that they're trying to get across, and they've been doing it just like Obama did with all those school shootings. So his whole thing was, or that whole agenda with the school shooting after school, almost every weekend, remember when Obama was in, almost every weekend there was a school shooting, remember? And a lot of them turned out to be completely fake, like completely fake actors. People have outed like the entire cast of that one big school shooting that guy got sued for. Anyway, my brain's like not coming up with names right now, so I'm just gonna, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So that big shooting, the school started with an S. Turned out the school had actually been closed down for years, and they just went in there months before and set the whole scenario up and had a pretend school going on there. And all of those people were actors. The whole thing, that's what a PSYOP is, right from the get-go. And they start months ahead working on these PSYOP. This was a PSYOP, guys, and it was for a wake-up call. So you got to look at who are they saying was the shooter, and what were the issues with the shooter, supposed shooter. So what are they trying to point out to the general population? Something, they're pointing something out. How we just willy-nilly give out these meds to teenagers and young adults, like who think they're depressed, probably they're vax injured and suffering from mental illnesses. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're pointing something out for sure, but it doesn't look like the PSYOP. It's a PSYOP, I guess is what I'm saying. And it's not, there's no tragedy here. Okay. All right, guys. This is my new space. It's the old space, but I've moved out of that cabin and back into the house that I was having renoed. So I had this old farmhouse renoed. Check this out in the Haida Gwaii. Let's see if I can show you. I guess I can't show. No, it doesn't really let me do a big roundabout. But anyway, one day I'll take some really good pictures and show you guys. Anyway, the kitty's sleeping right here next to me. And yeah, I painted the wall gray. Let me know what you guys think. I kind of liked it. It's called Timber Wolf. I just love the color. And I thought it's a nice neutral and doesn't take away from, you know, purpley walls I like and everything, but sometimes they can take away from what we're trying to do. Yeah, feels really good in here. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're going to look at the World Fair. Trump talks a lot about, or has in the weeks and months here, he's talked a lot about world fairs coming back, okay? And they didn't say tomorrow, but in the next couple of years. Okay, is that how they're going to roll out the new tech? That's what somebody wants to know, and that's a really good question. Let's have a look. Okay. All this new tech we've been getting was going to come out. Now, I, for one, I don't know. I feel like the med bed thing for me, I feel like it's more a technology of intelligence and or a knowing of how to heal ourselves, less about an actual literal bed you climb into. Okay, but that's just what I've been getting, and I don't really get the same thing some people get, where there literally is this med bed. Okay, I feel like we will learn to heal ourselves, and we will go a long way. There's already a lot of information about how to do that. Okay, and I don't get that it's like some bed you climb into that kind of looks like a, you know, almost like a space capsule. That's the ones I've been seeing, you know, them sort of promoting. Now, I don't know. Okay, so that remains to be seen. I could be totally wrong about that, but I've never got that was how it'll go. I get that we'll understand and go towards personal healing the way we're already, like there's a lot of it already available if people would look around. Okay, and that we absolutely won't, but I don't get it's like a miracle cure, you jump in a med bed. I mean, maybe that would be awesome if there is, but that's not what I get. So just so you guys know, and that's why I'm not going to have the conversation anymore about med beds. Okay. You guys can believe in med beds and that's fine. Okay. Of course you can talk about it, believe in it, do whatever, but I'm not going to entertain med bed questions. Okay. Cause I've talked about that for years. Okay. So what do we got here? And I'd be happy to be wrong about that. Really happy, by the way. Yeah. But on the other hand, I really do believe there's ways that we're already discovering. And the more we become empowered and understand the magic of truly the power we have as a human, I feel like it'll be very good. To be able to heal ourselves. I don't know if we're going to need the technology of a med bed, but again, my opinion. Okay, let's have a look at. So he's talking about these world fairs, which, 100 years ago they were around, and a little more than 100 years ago. And they were likely really advanced technology. I mean, there was all kinds of strange things going on at these world fairs. Like they have photographs from world fairs where there's hundreds of what looks like incubators that have babies in them. Okay. So what they were creating clones, they knew how to make babies like from machine wombs, like what's going on there? Do you know what I mean? So like already those world fairs and the fact that Trump's bringing them up, it could just be a nod to things that have been covered up that are already happening. And that's kind of what that card looks like. I feel like it's not so much he's literally saying we're going to have world fairs, is that we're going to move into a time when all the covered up technology and things we've been doing, or maybe even the bad guys have been doing, we're going to use the technology for good. So yes, it does look like a yes to the question, which is, will those things sort of usher in the new technology? Yes, all kinds of new technology, it looks like. But I feel like this is stuff that's already been around. So we could call it new or we could call it covered up. Let's call it covered up. So stuff they've already known about and even been using, and maybe even the bad guys have been using. And now we get a chance to see it and use it. So yeah, that's what's going on. And here we've got the Judgment card and the Knight of Wands. So Judgment. Judgment. Sort of like shocked, awakening, having an epiphany and an awakening. It's going to be mind-blowing, okay, what you'll see and what you'll discover has been hidden from us that's already been available, but we didn't know about it. Okay, so that's going to be shocking to a lot of people. So yeah, that is what he's nodding to for sure. Okay, what else do we have here? Juan 07 sent around a recent email. It was after the elections to people that anybody that had bought a book from him or somehow he got their email, they were on his email list. He does these periodical emails with info in them. And he sent one out and basically saying, don't get too comfy, buckle up, because all kinds of stuff's going on, and definitely the bad guys are going to pull some shit. Okay, so it's not time to just sit all back on our laurels here. So he's saying he was in particular, and this is what somebody wrote me, their concern in the email he sent. So please, if you got that email, share it. If you don't see it shared in the comments already, check. If you don't see it shared already, share a copy of the email. That would be awesome. But what it's saying is, one part of it was saying that many people are conspiring to arrest Trump. which is interesting, like as if they got a leg to stand on, and in particular over J6, which by the way I thought was already cleared up, that was a total fake false flag, and a whole bunch of shenanigans that certainly had nothing to do with the Trump's supporters. You know what I mean? Like all kinds of things have been already shown in court for that to be as good as thrown out. So why would that all of a sudden come to bite Trump in the ass? That doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. This is what he's saying. And sometimes, I don't know about his info. Sometimes I think he's just trying to keep us all sharp. But anyway, if it does happen, it would be part of the theater, okay? And also there was another reason why they might round him up. I can't remember. He mentioned a couple of reasons. So you'll have to read the email to see what I'm talking about there, okay? Read the email. What the person is asking who asked this question in the comments was, will an arrest of Trump happen? Will that come out of? And let's ask even particularly the J6, let's ask about that. And if not that, what? Like, is that going to actually go down where they actually arrest him? I mean, it's going to be theater if they do. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a look. Is that going to be part of the shenanigans? Because, we keep hearing there's going to be more shenanigans, not going to just be a smooth ride. First of all, because we're dealing with a government that completely stole 2020 and then was parading around with masks on and weren't real anyway this whole last 4 years. So there's so much deception and layers and layers and layers of theater. That has to come out to humans. Okay. We can't just slather over all of that BS and then carry on as if we've got a Republican Trump in off. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, that can't be how it goes down. Okay, even this whole last election was complete theater, you guys. Okay, it was all like even them catching them cheating was like, who's cheating? The puppeted people that are actually white hat actors wearing masks. Oh, they're the ones cheating? Interesting, right? So the whole thing is like some kind of, we're living in like some kind of psyop, like the whole thing's a theater. Anyway, I just wanted to remind people that that's how crazy things are. So it can't just be simple and you can't just go back to normal. Now we got Trump in again. Okay, it's not going to be like that. So this is all a setup to bring out the truth, take out fraudulent governments, change the whole way we do governments and the whole way we create boundaries, borders, like everything's going to change, money system, everything. And it's not that simple. Okay. Just to remind everybody, and I think maybe that's what Juan's trying to tell you. Okay. With his way of doing it is a little different than mine. But anyway, so let's have a look at, will he actually get, technically, do they have to go through that charade of him getting arrested? Because that's just stupidity in my opinion, but I don't know. All right. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, more like maybe they'll have a false or a faking of a death, either his or somebody else's who's really prominent in US politics. It would be fake though, because everything's kind of being controlled here by the white hats. And we've got the Fool in the middle, so I don't think it's etched in stone. I'm not really getting a yes on the, I get more towards a death. So they might fake his death before they'd fake him getting arrested. And that would make sense, because what are they going to arrest him for? It wouldn't make a lot of sense. Like, even though it is theater, it's got to make some sense. Okay. And what happened right after the election was the lawsuits that were already pending on him got dropped. Okay. So I don't know how much of a leg to stand on they have when already the J6 thing's been really, really outed as a fakery. I mean, if people still buy that that was a thing and that it was done by, had anything to do with Trump supporters, then they're not that bright, but I guess some people do think that. Okay, this looks like there's going to be shenanigans, absolutely. And it'll look like the bad guys are doing them, but it's still further theater. And I still get it's up in the air how they're going to play it out. There could even be a death involved. Okay, so I'm not sure it'll literally get played out. There's not a yes to that around what Juan says. Okay, so maybe his message is just to keep us alert and paying attention. Okay, so point taken, we are alert and we're paying attention, and we're not just going to sit back and get all comfy. Okay, because nothing makes any sense right now. Even the fact that he's president-elect. If he got elected in an election that shouldn't have ever happened, because 2020 should be null and void. Okay, that still has to come out. So there's too many shenanigans on top of each other for any of it to make sense just yet. There's going to be a lot of unraveling that has to happen between now and January. That's what I think. And maybe something about arrest, but I'm getting more maybe they play out a death of an important figure in the U.S. Politics. Maybe Trump, maybe somebody else. But anyway, so that's still up in the air, and I feel like it's really more about everybody's paying attention. Okay, and alliance are largely in control again, so that's a good nod to, going back to what I said originally. You're not watching the Republican Trump. You're watching a guy who's the front of the alliance. They're using Trump's brand. It's different. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Okay, let's have a look at, it's all about, it's fascinating how they use brands. Dark MAGA. Okay, the dark side of Trump. So somebody put this thing out. Lots of people are sending it to me, and it was kind of it seemed like a warning that all of a sudden the Gemini dark side, how Geminis have two sides, they're going to show the dark side of Trump now. Okay, so the dark MAGA means the dark side. Well, the first thing I thought was maybe it's like where he's rounding up deep state, showing us the tribunals, the truth comes out about how zero tolerance towards deep state and cult peoples who would do adrenochrome, use our children, human trafficking, pedophilia. It already looks like he's been hinting at he's got a zero tolerance for that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm thinking when they say dark MAGA, maybe that's what they mean, where, okay, here's the dark side of this. The dark side is they got to deal with these demonics, because you got to, I guess, fight fire with fire when you're dealing with demons. Okay, but this person is saying they're going to use dark magic and you're going to see negative and bad Trump. Let's have a look. Or do they have it right, or is it my way? Okay, so they're going to be there and I'm going to be here. First card down is them. Do they have it right, or do I have it? I just described what I thought dark MAGA meant. It's also about all the dark ops, right? And I've said this before. So all the things you're not seeing that we've been uncovering with the cards and talking about for years, but no, they've not, the whole white hat operations, the underground operations, operations that are like military ops and stuff that are not on the books. So they're not out for public display. They're secret. That's what I think they mean by that. Yeah. And also, showing us. So dark MAGA might mean, okay, time to see the dark side of a war. You have to deal with your enemies. That's what I think it means. And the other person is hinting that you're going to see, basically, Trump is one of the bad guys. It's basically what I was getting from the article. So let's have a look. Which one's right? Okay, so this is what they're saying, and this is what I'm saying. Surrender, that's what they're saying. So surrender, that's interesting. And what I'm saying, sort of answered already. This is a truth and integrity. So I've got it right. They don't. Okay. Surrender, they have to let that go. That's probably just fear porn. Okay. Somebody's fear porn. Okay. We've got the 8. So they have been hinting at dark mega. And I guess the way I described it is correct. Okay. So go back and play this for yourself. Listen again how I described it. It sounds like I got it right. Yeah. No, it's not what they're saying. You're not going to see where he flips into the bad guy. But you will see the dark side of the war and all the things that have been happening, secret tribunals, psyops, weather manipulation to cover up what the white hats are doing, what the military are doing, stuff like that. Yeah, we're going to see that. And it will seem dark to some people because they had to go dark, meaning under the cover of dark. They had to do it, not in the full sight of everybody. Just makes sense, right? Wow. Well, that was interesting. Okay. David Icke and his son. So they've been really pounding on Trump again. And somebody mentioned, and I thought it was an interesting point, these guys, like, all they do is rip apart everything that's happening, all of humanity and how duped we are and sort of how screwed we are, basically. And they I've never heard him come up with any solution, by the way. As much as it's awesome that he's been outing the dark side of things and the cult and the Illuminati and the lizard people and everything. Okay, where's his pulling it full around to be a good leader, give us a little hope and give us a little forward thinking, like we're just screwed, according to David Icke. Okay, so I just personally can't buy that. I didn't come all the way back here to live this lifetime to be screwed right from the beginning to the end. Okay, that's just not okay with me, and I'm not okay with it. I don't create that. Okay, so I got kind of lost all respect for him, frankly, him and his son, because they never pull it around to anything but the fear porn and the darkest part of, and how stupid we are, basically, and how evil Trump is. Like, they just never they sort of see past, I think, their own prejudices, but maybe they're right and I'm wrong, right? Time's going to tell. Okay, so what I'm looking at is, what's going on with those two? Are they like planted to do that? Is it important because, we need to stay sharp and we can't just idolize? Like, maybe if people like that weren't around, everybody would just idolize Trump, and that could be bad too, because we're not supposed to take away one sort of lord and master who's been oppressing us and add another one in there. Like, what's going on? What are those guys in there for? Are they just Trump derangement syndrome and they just can't shake it? Like, or do they actually believe that about Trump? What's going on? So that's them. They're just doing their best and moving along there. A lot changed in the course of the many years. David Icke and his son now have been reporting on what they've been reporting on. I feel like they might have lost track of some of the changes that happened. Okay, so they got stuck somewhere. That's what that feels like. Things changed and they can't let go of all elites are bad. They can't let go of it. And I get that. And a lot of people feel that way because, Trump's hoity-toity with all the other elites comes from a family that's very likely, by the way, probably associated with the dark cult. Think about it. Right? Yeah. But they say that, well, I've said a lot about it, so I'm not going to go into it right now. But you have to rub shoulders with all of these guys to really understand. And the fact that they have hated him right from the get-go, even when he announced he was going to run, all of a sudden everybody just hated him and dropped him, and the whole media. That right there tells you really everything. He's not in the club because they hate his guts, and they've been trying to kill him and get rid of him and oppress him and silence him. So I don't know. That tells me he's just not. That really does it for me. And it looks like Ike and his son here, they got a lot of really good points. And I think for years they brought a lot of good intel because they really woke a lot of people up. But I feel like they just can't let go of and move on to the new sort of, we've plateaued into a new area here. And I don't think they're, ready to give up the old, they're just pounding that drum. That's my interpretation. So I'm sure if David Icke heard this, he'd really hate my guts. He already does, as far as I know. I've kind of said stuff like this before, so I'm pretty sure he thinks I'm an idiot. But, that's okay. I appreciate all the work he did for many years, but I think he's got to catch up. All right, so what else do we got here? UK PM threatening to fast track even more asylum seekers. Okay, it's just out of control in the UK. This government, will they succeed with their plans? Okay, because of course that's gonna devastate. It's already devastated in all over Europe, and I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at how foolish this whole plan is. But anyway, obviously this guy's a deep state player. So how long does the UK have to deal with this guy? But remember, I think all of those guys have capitulated. So really they're just outing just how deep state these guys are. How long does the UK have to put up with this guy? Will he actually do that he says he's going to do? Well, you got a yes, so it's going to sure look like he is. He'll work towards it. You better believe it. He'll defend his plan. He's got a big, he has a big reason why he says he's doing it. We've got temperance, so they're going to need more patience there. 7, a couple of 7s. Doesn't get all the way there. He gets stopped around January. So something happens in January that... it might even be his hanging. Anyway, hangs up his plans, let's just say. Let's say he gets his plans hung up in January. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let's look at Canada. So all the Canadians hoping and praying to see the tail end of Trudeau. And like I said, the guy's going to hang in there till the bitter end of this movie. Trudeau is hilarious, like just the tenacity, right? So they've got to show you that these guys don't have a choice. His brother, his half-brother, told us a long time ago, he doesn't have a choice. He's owned, and now his brand is completely owned by the deep state. Okay, so they say when he quits, he doesn't quit till they say. So they don't care about good politics or not. They're just trying to survive, right? Now, to be fair, I believe that it's the white hat operation in Canada as well. Remember? So I know that's hard to wrap your head around, but that the Trudeau you're watching is a mask-wearing person just like Biden. Did you notice how right at the end, when Biden came out and gave a speech, all of a sudden he wasn't dementia and he was all of a sudden sharp as a tack and was making even a little tiny bit of sense? Biden. Okay. And then it almost looked like there was a few memes out there or little clips where it looked like he was actually really signaling that this is a movie and that he was part of it. Right? Did you guys notice that? I shared all of those on social media. It's pretty interesting anyway. And it's really interesting that they had all those little videos and clips to go and everything ready to go. They knew this was one of the plans. Okay, I feel like there was about 4 or 5 ways that it could have went right on the day, depending on our input. I feel like everybody's input online and literally getting out and voting and all of the things that happened on the day and the energy and how it was carried out by us, we the people. I feel like that changed everything as the day went on. Crazy, right? Yeah. Anyway, so they had a lot of things ready to go, including some of those funny clips and how they presented what's her name there, Harris. I never liked it, Kamala Harris or whatever. How they I just don't like saying her name because I don't believe it is her, whoever that is, you know what I'm saying? Nothing about that person is real. But anyway, the way they had presented her speech, like just it was ludicrous. Like anybody who really wanted a shot later in their life at running again, or was an actual politician and really like who wasn't just a mask wearing puppet, would have never made a speech like that. It was just the worst ever. She must have, how many times did she say fight? Fight, 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 fight. Do you know what I mean? It was just trying to show you what these people are all about. Okay, they're trying to show you something. It's just fascinating. Anyway, let's have a look at, what were we looking at? Canadian. Sorry, I got off topic there. Canadian PM. When do we see the tail end of that guy? But yeah, I'm real sick of the Trudeau brand, really. So is everybody. 7 again. So it's a unique situation. That card keeps coming up. It's a unique situation. Yeah, it is. Because you're looking at theater. Okay. So crazy. And they got so much on this guy in real life. If that was really true, if this was normal times and we weren't just watching theater, there's no way he'd still be standing in front of his Canada. Like, in no universe would he have lasted. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? They're just trying to show us just how crazy these guys can get and how they hang on to power and just how they abuse it. They're just showing you the worst case scenarios. So we never let this happen again. Okay, he's still hanging in there. I'm telling you guys. Okay, this looks like now we might be stuck with this guy till March. Okay. Oh my goodness. I have no idea how that is, but I feel like the focus won't be on Canadian politics. It's largely going to be on the US and what's going on there. Yeah, they're just going to keep using him, and he could stay all the way till early New Year. Okay, I'll say that. Let's not say March. Let's hope it's just into the new year. Let's call it that. Okay, so all could be all the way to March, but anyway, early New Year anyway. Yeah, he's hanging in there, guys. We're stuck with him. We're going to need a good sense of humor and to see the big picture. Okay, just imagine him gone, like shrink him, and then he's gone. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my video. Take care. Sending you all ravens. Bye-bye. That's the past. The sun. Now, that's interesting. I'm going to have to pull a clarifier on that. That could be a gold-backed something that's already been created. That's in the past, but it could also indicate something to do with. That is interesting, the sun. Well, I'm going to have to clarify that. What are we talking about there? Is that the gold-backed system, money system that's been working kind of alongside the other system? Because the Fed's coming down, the petrodollar's coming down, right? So is that what they created in the background? I've been calling it kind of the white hat, sort of their baby that they created this. Because it'll make the transition once the old system comes down. At least there's a money system to replace it that's gold-backed. That's what I've been getting for years, or metal-backed. And I've been getting that for years. So I wonder if that's what that means. And then we have the Chariot Okay, so things are really fast and furious tomorrow. So that the chariot, so that's really interesting. And that's even like, I feel like there'll be brazen cheating going on, all kinds of things, because the chariot takes risks and chances. So both sides might be taking really big risks. I'm not saying the White Hat Alliance are going to cheat in the election. I'm saying they'll take really big chances in the way they handle election day. So whatever that turns out to mean, but we know that the fake Biden regime. So you guys try to follow this now. Remember, if you're new here, you might not know that I mean the Biden regime that wears masks, pretends to be Biden and Kamala Harris and those fools. Okay, they're mask wearing puppets that are puppeted by the White Hats. So they're in place to out the deep state government and the captured government in the US. Okay, so it feels like they're playing out the cheating. So like, don't take, I mean, let's say this, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't take it personally when I read all of these things, they're cheating. I know it's a big part of the theater that is outing these guys. Do you know what I mean? So there's some reason why they're creating that, because it's White Hat Alliance creating it, in my opinion, and what I've been getting for years. So that looks like you get a lot of that, and it gets kind of crazy and a little dangerous that day. Maybe even there's skirmishes. Maybe there's at the voting polls, like at the polling stations, whatever you guys call them, there could be all kinds of things going on, shenanigans. You'll see nonstop. But everyone's talking about it and outing everything. The digital soldiers are wide awake and working overtime. So even if they wanted to steal it, it would be so obvious. Like, there could be really big, bold moves made by various different television stations, calling it too early one side or the other. They were doing that certainly in 2020. Fox News ultimately totally put the nail in the coffin with the steal, and called it literally, like, what was it, Arizona they called, and that was so obvious. And then the whole thing stopped, and then the steal went on right in front of people's eyes. It was just horrifying. But I feel like it might have been even played out then. I'm even thinking they knew that was going to happen, and they let it happen just to show you what these guys are capable of. I feel like the White Hats could have shut it down then, but nobody would have woke up then. All of these normies would have just thought Trump stole it then. You know what I mean? Yeah, so crazy. That's a crazy card, but this is a celebration card. So I'm going to clarify that, but right now that's looking like, because we talked about this audience, so we could be celebrating. This is today. This is tomorrow. I don't know why the sun came up today. That's an interesting, I'm going to clarify all of these, but this is a celebration card. This is tomorrow, and this is the next day. So by the 6th, it looks like we think we won. You know, are they going to let us win? Okay, so again, this is all in the visuals. So are they going to play out that Trump wins, which we're all expecting, right? Some people are fearing that he won't, because they'll pull that trigger again. But are they going to let him win and then can not let it go forward? And then the Brunson case gets pulled out just to settle down all the shenanigans that happen? Because I feel like they're looking for an excuse to bring out the military and maybe to announce the Brunson case. Okay. So I feel like this looks like they win. So let's keep looking here. It just looks like we win. So that looks like a Trump win to me. Here's the hidden influence, though. It's a unique situation. And the reason it's unique, and I've been getting this for a really long time, it's a unique situation because really, he's been in power all of this time, and the government's actually bankrupt. The United States of America is bankrupt. It's been changed in the background to a republic, the Republic of the United States. A whole bunch of things have already changed, you see. So we're seeing this theater, and that's why it's unique. And what happens after he wins is this, are they going to play out a bunch of other stuff so they can capture more bad guys? Let's keep looking. So we've got the 6, and so this looks good for a Trump win. When I look at these, they don't look like we're shocked. Okay, but as the, so now we're going into the day 6 here. Whoops, what's the outcome? Okay, held up. Okay, so I knew it. Okay, I feel like they hold things up. So it looks like a win, but they hold things up. Okay, so that could they play out that the Democrats, are calling foul. This time it's their turn to call foul. This time it's their turn to throw a big hissy fit or not hand over the reins or whatever, right? Like, are they going to not agree to the win? Are they going to cause trouble? So far, that's what it looks like. Looks like a Trump win and then trouble's caused that holds things up. Okay, so maybe it doesn't even go all the way to the win. It just looks like Trump's going to win and everything gets halted somehow. But the woo people all know things will work themselves out, but it's going to take time. So that's interesting. But a lot of people who don't watch videos like this might not know and could be freaking out. Okay, so let's pull 2 more for down here. Yeah, it does look like a win, but there's holdups. Okay, so it'll look like a solid, the potential to win here. That's not a major arcana, though, guys. So I think it'll get held up before they call it. So it feels like it'll be looking like that, even though lots of shenanigans happen. And then there's a holdup, okay, while they sort out and get a lot of truth out. So during the holdup, that's a time. So these 2 cards are telling us more about the holdup, where things come out and a lot of things get to come out because of the holdup. So this is the outcome. The outcome is we have to wait to be enlightened, okay? Because we still need to know that these guys lost in 2020 anyway. Like, why are we even having this? It doesn't even, this is a fake, like the country isn't, the United States of America is bankrupt. Like, how is this even possible? Do you get what I'm saying? So I feel like that is the clincher, is that they got to play this out to get to a place where they can actually explain all of that truth. Okay, so this is how they might do it here. So here I'm going to pull a few. Okay, so I feel like one of the ways that things get held up is legalities. So there's I feel like both sides are going to pull legal stuff. Now, remember, this is all just playing out. I believe that. Okay, so try not to let your blood pressure get off the scales here, right? It's going to look sometimes really bad. Does look like we're thinking we won here, but everything gets held up at the last minute here. We've got the Knight of Pentacles here. So carefully proceeding. And I feel like if they need to, they might bring out that Brunson case with that Justice card. Okay, so I'm going to do a whole separate layout for that. Okay, let's see, how long does the holdup go? Okay, so the holdup goes for about, looks like 3. This could be weeks or months. And this card looks like into the new year. So I feel like we get held up till January. So that's going with months now, 3. Okay, so within that time, into the new year. Okay, so it feels like it doesn't officially, all of this has to, like, this is a very unique situation. They have to give it time to explain a lot of things. It'll look really shady and brazen moves on both sides the day of. It was kind of a big shenanigans day and really intense, right? So make sure you've slept well, or if you haven't slept well, make sure you've taken your vitamins and you eat well or take good care of yourself, because that could be a crazy kind of day. But we're celebrating because it looks really good for Trump here. Of course, if it was a real election, he would win. Of course, right? We know that. Okay, but it feels like something gets played out where there's a glitch and holds things up to officially announce the win. Okay. And part of it is because we didn't even need to have this. This is this government that's the pretendency is fake anyway. Okay. So you got to like get your brain around that, right? It's hard to get your brain around, but a lot of people have to come on board to know that for this to go forward the way we need it to. Okay. So for the world to change in the way we need it to, we have to have this play itself out, it looks like. Okay. So now what I want to look at is what was that Jean-Claude wanted me to look at? First, I'm going to go financial havoc to kick off unrest. Okay, because it does look like maybe the unrest is necessary. So if the election doesn't really get called one way or the other, which is kind of like what that looks like, but we will be happy with what, like, a lot of numbers show Trump for sure. So they're not able to totally steal it. Okay, that's good. Okay, but it'll look like there's a lot of shenanigans. Okay, and then there's some kind of holdup either on the day and or the day, like that night, late at night of election night, and or the next day, where they've stopped it because we've got the hanged man and they don't call it one way or the other. Okay, so there's a hold up and it gets pushed, like possibly to giving us time to sort out a lot of things and maybe get a lot of people caught up to speed. That's what it looks like. Okay, so I don't know if that's making any sense, but the good news is it doesn't look like we get a total steal and they pretend that Kamala is actually the president. Okay. And that's weird because maybe they're waiting till after to pull out the goods on her, because it really does look like they got some, like we kept getting that they're going to take her down. They're going to take Oprah down. They're going to take, I guess they're waiting till the in-between time, unless they do it between now and tomorrow night. Like, it's wild. Okay, so let's look at financial havoc, because it looks like on the 6th is a potential. They could call in, I forget how Jean-Claude explains it, but a bunch of loans to the banks and basically shut down the banks. But, you know, they do tend to always kick that can down the road. Do you know what I mean? And when I looked at it before, I didn't really get they do it right on the 6th, but they might do it sometime in November. So let's have a look how that's looking now. Financial havoc, where banks are shutting their doors and you're not able to get your money out of the bank in the US, and maybe lots of places in the world, might not just be the US. Let's have a look. Three of Swords. Mm-hmm. So here we've got the Queen of Pentacles and the 7. So this is how it'll look, and this is these cards are what's really going on. How does it look to the public? Okay, so we're here now where it looks really tricky. Okay, we're here where it's like the banks are looking really tricky. Like, you're reading all kinds of reports all over the world on what's going on. It's looking like the UK pound, like, as good as crashed a few days ago. Like, there's so many things coming out. It looks like Japan's in really big trouble, their banking system. All of these systems are literally just on the brink of collapsing. Okay, I believe in the background they did already. Okay, that's where the sun comes in that other layout. I feel like this has already been dealt with in the background, and a lot of capitulation happened in the background with these big banks, but they're all playing out the scenario to get through this election and into the times afterwards, so exposure can come out about all the deep state governments all over the world. Okay, so now it's looking like with that 3 and 3 here, I feel like they'll wait. I don't think it'll happen. Like, it'll happen, but maybe days after, maybe not the very next day. Okay, so within the week or the week after that, I feel like there's a good chance we'll see the bank failure. Yeah, with the devil here, the 3 but it could be a few days after, not necessarily the very next day after the election. And these are interesting because it feels like they're still not 100% sure how they're going to play that out. There's still a strategy card around that. So there's still moving parts around that. So I don't think there's a bigger strategy maybe than that. Okay, because we know they want military out on the street. So let's look at the Brunson case. Maybe that's the thing instead. So it doesn't really look like that happens the day after, but it does look like it's coming, and it's could be days away. Okay, let's have a look at the Brunson case. Are they going to pull that one? That'd be awesome. Ooh, that's a good card. That card's like a wake up and smell the coffee. If they do, it's right up to the time they're going to do it. Oh my goodness. Okay, and they're starting to talk about it again. That's where the news comes out. You see, the thing that's interesting about it is this was already decided. Like in the background, a lot of people seem to know about this, that this, like, not a lot, but there's higher up people in the know in the White Hat organization, in the Alliance organization. They know. And even like capitulated members, like a lot of people might already know this. This is what's so interesting. We've got the High Priestess and Justice. It's definitely their trump card. They've got it. The Judgment card and the 10. This would be the time to do it. They could have done it so many times in the last year, and they keep saving it and saving it. More and more people outing more and more things. You know, not everybody agrees with their tactics on that. And we've got all these 10s around it. I feel like if they absolutely have to, they'll pull that. But for some reason, they might wait. They may feel they don't need to pull this, or they keep it in their pocket, possibly. It's a possibility. Like, we're right up against, and it would be, I think some people might argue it would be wise that they did, and they will eventually, but they're holding on to it till the very last second, till they think they need it. Okay, so it's their loaded gun, it's their trump card, it's their wow. But it doesn't say for sure they are. It says they will if they have to, but they got a few other things they want to do. So what it looks like, guys, is there's going to be a lot of shenanigans between now and the end of tomorrow night. Jean-Claude and I will be on, I think it's 8 or 9 Eastern tomorrow night, watching how things are going by then. And I can't remember how long we're going to stay on there, but probably at least an hour and a half or so. And we'll just be watching and seeing what's going on, depending on, of course, how things are going. And it looks like everything looks good where we're actually celebrating, but there's not an official announcement that Trump won. It gets held up. So they pull, like, and it'll appear in the theater that it's a theater. Not to say we shouldn't keep being digital soldiers, meme about it, talk about it, because they're outing how these guys do what they do. But it feels like there's a glitch either before or after the election day, which of course is tomorrow. So it's got to be any minute now. That holds things up and creates it. Maybe it's sometime during the day of the election where they deem it maybe too much shenanigans, so they got to hold everything. But it does look like we're going to be celebrating like how good it's looking for Trump. And maybe that's why they'll make it appear like they stop everything, they being the Democrats. But the Democrats, you got to remember, have capitulated, a lot of them. And a a lot of them are rounded up. So you're watching the theater of politics. So you'll need to remember that because it'll feel yucky. But I feel like we'll actually see through it because we're the Three of Cups, and that's a celebration card. But you could also look at it like in the middle of all of this, the outing of child trafficking, infant SRA, like bringing up children in an SR, satanic ritual abuse, have families, like all of that feels like it's really close at hand too, where that's all coming out. So the Three of Cups can also mean a real obvious adrenochrome where everyone has to become aware it's a real thing. That could also be thrown in here. It seems like there's a lot of exposure, right? I've been getting that. It's been nonstop if you're looking at Telegram and X. It's exposure on all of these kind of fronts, okay? But the fact that the Sun and the Three of Cups is in the same reading, a little suspicious that we could be also, that could be the holdup where now we got to segue over here because it's way bigger than who wins a phony election, because it was rigged in the 2020 and we shouldn't even be having 2024 because the whole thing's illegal anyway. You know what I mean? Like there's all of that, and that'll still be coming out, by the way. And it does look like, but the good news is it doesn't look like they try to put Kamala creep fake Harris there in I can really insult everybody. Like that part's good. Doesn't look like they name anybody, but it'll look really obvious who really won. Wow. Okay. Oh, and now I just want to do one more quick look at how are we all doing? Okay, and this could give us even more clues. Like it does look confusing and nothing's going to be clear, I don't think. Even the day after, I don't think we got clarity. I think they're playing something out. I don't know, to catch more bad guys, to make things more obvious. I'm not a white hat exactly, so I like to think of myself as one. I certainly support them and their movement, but I feel like, yeah, we don't really know why they're doing exactly what they're doing there. There's so much more to it, I'm sure. But by the end of the week here, how's everybody doing? Okay, and that'll give us a big clue as to how this is playing out. Certainly looks like that Hanged Man says they won't announce. Okay, but just try to remember when that happens that we know the truth. Announcing it, the fact that they're actually playing out a fake election after it was already stolen, and we're actually in military rule because of a stolen election last time. I mean, like, you got to remember that's the play right now. And even though a lot of people don't see it, we know that that's the play. Okay, let's have a look. How's everybody doing here by like Friday? Ace of Cups, so lots of open and connecting and helping each other through this. Oh, and the Six of Wands. So a lot of good stuff happens here between now. It's not like the shit show 2020 was. Okay, that was just a shit show. Okay, so there's a lot of good. We can see the play. It looks like, even though it might not be a cut and dry big win, because it can't be really. Think about it again. 2020 was stolen, so 2024 having an election is kind of ludicrous. Okay, and it must be just a sting, okay, to further out this stuff. Okay, so if we just had a clear-cut win, that wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't give us opportunity to out all this stuff. Okay, so they're going to drag things out a little, it looks like, but this looks like we're clearly seeing the play and the win of it. Right, so that's good. Also, we see that we're on our way to military, and they could even be out on the streets in some areas by Friday. Anyway, looking at that card. Okay, so we got surrender. So we got to put up with some stuff, but we're way closer to truth, and we feel safe that we're moving in the right direction as a community. So, like, it feels like it's in a way a win for the whole community, because we're seeing the game, we're seeing why they're doing what they're doing. And it might be frustrating, but these cards are telling me we'll have to surrender to it. It'll take a little longer because they need truth to come out, and they got plans for how they're going to do that. But it looks like we're seeing how, yeah, we can see that. It doesn't look like it's one of those big slaps in the face for us, which happened in it's happened all the way along. It's been mortifying, but that's not the case this time. It looks like we're in a different kind of whole league of things here going forward. So that's good to know. Okay. Sending everybody ravens, you guys. I got you. I'm protection around the whole community, and let's take care of each other and ourselves, and don't be too hard on ourselves or anybody else around the situation, and try not to win any stupid prizes. Like, keep out of the way if military are out on the street, which looks very possible. Okay, yeah, thank you so much everybody. Bye bye.
Ôm lấy cô. Anh nhớ em đừng làm như vậy nữa mà. Em muốn gì anh cũng sẽ đồng ý. Nhưng đừng lạnh lùng như thế này có được không? Cô bất ngờ trước phản ứng của anh nên đứng im chịu trận. Mặc anh dựa hẳn vào người mình, cô vẫn cuốn tóc cả về trên anh. Em à, anh xin lỗi. Hãy cho anh một cơ hội nữa được không? Cô buông giọng lạnh nhạt. Gặp ai anh cũng ôm như thế này sao? Phiền anh giữ tự trọng một chút đi. Tào Phong sợ hãi buông cô ra. Anh nhìn cô ngạc nhiên. Anh cố tìm sang người con gái của mình mà không thấy. Trước mặt anh chỉ là một người vô cảm lạnh lùng. Khuôn mặt cô gần như không bộc lộ cảm xúc gì. Ánh mắt sàn cách đến đáng sợ. Trước kia khi nói gì làm anh buồn thì cô không dám nhìn thẳng vào mắt anh. Vậy mà bây giờ từng lời cô ấy nói đều không chớp mắt. Nhớ đến hành động ôm eo của Ricardo, tự dưng anh lại thấy lòng ấm ức khó chịu. Cao Phong, anh đang đâu vậy? Tiếng cô gái ở cuối tầng 1 gọi tìm anh. Chị An nước mắt dò hỏi. Hình như bạn gái anh tìm kìa. Phiền anh lần sau thấy tôi thì đừng nhận nhầm nữa. Lời nói của cô như giọt nước tràn đi. Nó làm cho anh nổi giận. Cô vừa mở cửa vào phòng thì anh kéo tuột cô vào trong khóa cửa lại. Anh giữ miệng cô không cho nói. Chị An hoảng sợ nhìn anh. Nghe bên ngoài có tiếng bước chân của cô gái tìm anh. Tìm không được nên cô gái đi xuống. Tiếng bước chân cô xa dần thì anh mới bỏ tay xuống, nhưng vẫn ghi chặt cô vào cửa. Buông tôi ra được chưa? Anh xuống đi, không mất công lại phải giải quyết. Anh mất bình tĩnh, giọng nói rằng từng tiếng rõ ràng. Đó không phải là bạn gái của anh. Người anh yêu chỉ có em thôi, nên đừng có diễn xuất ở đây. Diễn xuất của em tệ lắm. Chẳng cho cô nói tiếp, anh điên cuồng áp sát cô vào tường, hôn tới tấp, mặc cho cô phải trốn. Sự cuồng nhiệt của anh khiến cô chùn lòng. Chuyện gì đến cũng phải đến. Hai kẻ vẫn còn yêu nhau sâu đậm, lại lao vào nhau như chưa hề có cuộc chia ly nào cả. Anh nhấc cô về giường nhưng không rời khỏi người cô. Anh làm cho cô trở về với những ngày ở Milan trước, vẫn đầy ham muốn với anh, mà lại thường đã không còn tình cảm nữa. Khi trên người chẳng còn gì, cô giật mình thoảng thốt đẩy anh ra. Gương mặt bỗng chốc trở nên lạnh lùng. Anh chỉ muốn lên giường với tôi thôi phải không? Gương mặt đang hạnh phúc bỗng chốc sầm xuống. Anh nhìn cô vô tận lấp. Đúng, cứ nhìn thấy em là tôi muốn. Anh nhìn cô sắc lẹm, ánh mắt vừa thất vọng vừa hận thù. Bao yêu thương bỗng chốc bị xé vụn, rồi lại lao vào cô giày vò một thời tiết. Anh sợ cô đau, nhưng có lẽ nỗi đau mà cô vừa cứa vào lòng mình khiến anh đau hơn. Anh trút lên cơ thể cô mạnh bạo là vậy, nhưng cô chẳng chút phản đối. Di An vẫn lặng im mà anh điên cuồng hôn, thậm chí là cắn hơi mạnh vào da thịt mình. Mặc dù vậy, cô vẫn cảm thấy mình thỏa mãn. Anh vẫn hôn lên mọi vị trí trên cơ thể cô, nhưng nó chẳng dịu dàng như hơn 1 năm về trước. Thật nực cười là cô cũng ham muốn anh mới tệ. Cô đón nhận những nụ hôn, đôi lúc co người lên phản ứng. Tiếng yêu thương cố kìm nén vẫn thoát ra ngoài. Cao Phong thấy người cô hẳn lên những dấu hôn thì dịu dàng trở lại. Anh yêu cô nhẹ nhàng hơn. Bàn tay luồn lách trên cơ thể mát lạnh của Dĩ An. Anh lật cô nằm xuống, hôn lên bờ vai trắng mịn. Anh yêu em, mãi vẫn yêu em. Dĩ An cắn chặt vào gối, ngăn cảm xúc không thành lời của mình. Anh vẫn cứ nhẹ nhàng, bàn tay vuốt lên tấm lưng trần của cô. Nụ hôn vẫn lướt đi thật nhẹ. Em thả lỏng người, anh không vào được. Tôi không có bao cao su và cũng không muốn có tai nạn nào xảy ra cả. Có lẽ nên dừng lại được rồi. Lời nói của Dĩ An như tạt một gáo nước lạnh vào mặt anh. Cao Phong tối sầm mắt. Anh mạnh bạo đi vào cơ thể cô mà không để ý Dĩ An nhăn mặt đau đớn. Mặc kệ anh điên cuồng mạnh bạo, cô vẫn nằm im chịu trận, hứng trọn cả tình yêu lẫn thù hận của anh. Anh cũng làm như cô mong muốn mà thả ra ngoài, áp sát người lên cơ thể đã nóng rực của Dĩ An. Anh hôn mạnh lên bờ vai, nơi có hình xăm ghi dấu nụ hôn mới chịu nằm xuống. Dĩ An nhắm mắt, không dám nhìn người đối diện. Nhìn lại người con gái mình vừa hành, anh sợ hãi cuống quýt lo lắng, bàn tay xoa nhẹ lên các vết cắn để lại. Anh xin lỗi, anh không cố ý. Dĩ An mở mắt nhìn anh chằm chằm, nghĩ đến việc có người con gái khác khoác tay anh trong hôm nay. Cô chợt thấy khó chịu, hất tay anh khỏi người mình. Cô lấy khăn tắm đứng dậy. Chuyện anh muốn đã xong rồi, nên bây giờ ra khỏi phòng tôi được chưa? Anh bật dậy nhìn cô chua xót. An à, anh yêu em chứ không phải như em đang nghĩ đâu. Giữa chúng ta tình yêu đã kết thúc rồi. Chẳng phải anh nói chỉ muốn lên giường với tôi thôi sao? Dù sao cũng cảm ơn vì đã giải quyết nhu cầu của tôi. Anh ngồi chết lặng như không tin về những gì vừa nghe thấy. An của anh không phải như vậy. Anh cố gắng kéo cô trở về với trước kia, nên giọng nói trở nên dịu dàng. Hãy nói cho anh biết, tại sao mối quan hệ của chúng ta lại tệ đến thế này hả em? Tại sao anh chỉ muốn yêu em thôi cũng khó như vậy hả? Đừng để gánh nặng nào trên vai anh nữa được không? Cô giữ người nhưng nhanh chóng lấy lại vẻ bình thản. Đơn giản vì tôi không còn yêu nữa, và cũng sắp kết hôn rồi. Anh đi được chưa? Nếu còn muốn nữa thì lại đây, còn đủ rồi thì phiền anh đi cho. Cô không quay lại, bước đến nắm chặt cửa nhà tắm. Khi đi ra nhớ đóng cửa hộ tôi. Anh ngồi chết lặng, cô không làm cô nữa. Sao cô có thể nói với anh những lời như vậy? Lặng lặng mặc lại quần áo, anh bước ra khỏi phòng, đóng mạnh cửa, khiến cô giật bắn người. Dĩ An xả nước kỳ cọ trên người. Cô không muốn giữ lại bất kỳ cái gì của anh nữa. Khi mãi các vết không trôi được, cô vừa khóc vừa nói như mê sảng. Mình đã làm gì anh ấy vậy? Sao lại thốt ra những lời ghê sợ như vậy chứ? Mình đâu có thù ghét anh ấy đến vậy. Ra khỏi nhà tắm, lấy một bộ quần áo khác mặc vào, cô đến bên cửa sổ, dựa vào tường nhìn xuống. Gió mang hơi lạnh bay vào phòng, nhưng làm sao lại vào lòng cô được? Ánh điện mở rộng làm cho vườn hoa dưới kia trông càng đẹp hơn. Chúng vẫn vươn mình hít thở gió sương. Ngày mai những bông hoa ấy lại vẫn đẹp rạng rỡ. Ngoài kia họ đang khiêu vũ cười nói rộn ràng. Nhìn thấy có anh đang ngồi uống rượu cùng cô gái ấy, nên cô đóng cửa lên giường nằm ngủ. Mùi hương của anh vẫn phảng phất khắp phòng, khiến cô trằn trọc khó ngủ. 2 giờ sáng, Chị An thức dậy tìm nước uống. Ngoài kia đã tàn tiệc, trả lại không gian im ắng cho căn biệt thự. Bình nước trống không, mắt nhắm mắt mở. Cô ra khỏi phòng đi lấy nước thì vấp phải một người ngồi trước cửa. Trong ánh đèn mờ, cô lủng cổ bò dậy, chân đã lại tím bầm, suýt xoa vì đau, lẩm bẩm chửi thề: chết tiệt, sao lại ngồi ngay trước cửa phòng người ta thế? Chẳng thấy người đó động đậy, cô ngồi xổm lại gần định giơ tay đánh trả thù, nhưng lập tức khựng lại khi nhìn rõ khuôn mặt của Cao Phong. Người anh nồng nặc mùi rượu, sự lúng túng hiện rõ trên khuôn mặt. Cô lùi lại, quay người chạy xuống tầng 1 lấy nước, vì sợ anh tỉnh giấc sẽ bắt được cô đang ngủ trộm. Uống liền 2 cốc nước mà người cứ bừng bừng lên. Cô mở tủ lạnh lấy bia ra uống. Sao anh ấy không về mà lại ngủ trước phòng cô vậy? Cô gái kia đâu rồi? Sao không lôi anh về phòng trước? Uống hết lon bia thứ 2,